doing my normal first light hike kind of thing again. Should be rising just over me here in a few minutes. I'm at Paint Creek State Park here in Ohio. I needed to stay kind of close to home. Just me today. I think I'm in for about 6 miles according to the hiking app I looked at. I don't know. Let's see what we get into. All right, so I'm about 8/10 of a mile into this hike. I just stopped. I had to switch out my coat. It's always amazing. My fingers were actually hurting. I was really cold this morning. Wilma, that's our truck's name, Wilma. She was telling me on the display that it's I think 32 degrees this morning. It bounced between 32 and 33, but once you get moving in the woods, it really warms up fast. I just stopped kind of down there. I like some of the white bark on some of the sycamores down there, and I had hoped to find a little composition like a leading line with the waterway, but I was not successful. I don't really know what I'm after this morning. The sky started out mostly blue, but the clouds moved in real quick. Bad news is boring sunrise. Good news is I have a little more shooting time as far as the camera goes today. So I don't know. I've got almost all my gear. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to make this a part of Mike and Chris Paria's Black and White Challenge. I know the lack of committal is a little embarrassing, but I just don't want to limit myself too much. So, ooh, squirrel. Let me see. That down there might work for black and white. Let's go see. Okay, so here's what I found. I was up on the hill behind me, and I liked being up there because as the stream kind of comes in from over there, it had this really nice S-curve out towards the lake. Now, almost all of Ohio lakes are man-made. Ohio as a state, other than up north, is really a stream and farm pond state. It's all pretty flat. So what they do with these man-made lakes is in winter they let water out. That way, if we get a heavy snowfall and it goes to melt off rather quickly because our storms come in and out, they can buffer that water and help with flooding. That's kind of why many of them are in place. Having done that, if I kind of turn around and look up, you might be able to see that where the water is low as it looks out there towards what's left of the lake, there's kind of these cracks in the mud where they've pulled it back. Now they're ruined a little bit by the fact we had quite a bit of rain yesterday, but my mission here is to walk around and maybe do something with these cracks, maybe looking out towards the lake or not. There's some driftwood in here I like as well. So I'm just sort of looking around for a composition. I'm not sure what I'm going to find yet. I'm trying not to step on top of what could become one. If I do, I'll stop and tell you what I stopped at. Okay, so I did stop. This is what I think I'm going to like the most. I'm set up there, and then I don't know if you can see that stump there. Here, let me switch camera around. Is that octopus looking stump, and then since I'm low, you can see just out there a little bit. Now I'm still not convinced. I'm not full committal on the Black and White Challenge, and now I've taken my photo I can get up here, but I'm hoping I can show. In fact, I might do a significant crop. I do like that old leaf, and you can see up top there's 2 snails that were just kind of sitting there. Unfortunately, there's also some trash, but I think that's going to be hidden in the background. So it's pretty muddy. And in other news, let me switch this around again. This is one of the things I love. I'm not sponsored by anybody or anything, but this Flipside Trek BP 450 that I have from, I don't know, somebody. I'll put it in the description down below. But I love how I can hang it off of me. The lap belt turns into this, and because it opens up from the back, I can zip it out. Because it's muddy and nasty here. My boots, they're full on funk. I hid my coffee over there because I didn't have a free hand, but I love not having to set my bag down when I do this. The downside is it's got some storage up top, but not as much as I really need for winter with clothing. But for instances like this that I had no idea I was even going to be doing today, I really like this. So okay, I plugged, even though I don't know why I plugged, but I did. I like it. There you go. So here's what I thought I would do. I've just walked kind of back, and I got my boots all muddy in that stuff, and I thought, I'm going to stop here in this little kind of shallow stream. I can stomp in the water a little bit, clean my boots off, clean my tripod feet off before I pack all up and get back to the trail. There's this beautiful tree here to kind of walk out. I thought I could hang on to it, and thank God it was there, because you can't even see it now. When I stepped in that, it was a horrible plan. I made things vastly worse. In fact, if that tree wasn't there, I think I would have gone clear up to my hips. I grabbed onto it and slammed my tripod down like a hiking pole. Yeah, so anyway, out there I ended up with 3 compositions, a little bit different. One is getting to be a little cliche for me. There was a leaf kind of sitting in with some of that cracked mud and stuff, and then 2 at the octopus stump. Before I left, I took the one that I talked to you about a minute ago, and then before I left, when my camera was off, I walked up a little bit closer and took another one. So anyway, I will share all 3 right now. So since that last stop, honestly, it's been more about the hike than photography. I've even had a hard time staying any kind of focused on looking for compositions or anything like that. With it just being me, the leaves that are on the ground, I keep finding myself drifting off and my mind trying to solve all the world's problems. And honestly, I'm just kind of going with it. It's a beautiful day, about 3 miles in. And I don't know, maybe if something smacks me upside the head, I may stop for a photo. There was some pines all the way back darn near where I started that I was in love with, the pine needles and all the orange down below. At the time it was really too dark and there wasn't much there. I was hoping for a little bit more light later to play with it, so I may stop, but right now I'm really just enjoying the nothing. So I mentioned earlier, most of Ohio's lakes are by dam, and if I spin around, you can see there's the bulk of the dam, sort of back just behind my head is the spillway area. And as I spin back this way, you can see there's the large, I don't know what they do with those. I guess in my head I always thought they did like control-y type stuff, but actually not. I'm not at all sure what those things are for. Make something up. Ooh, or better yet, let's get some interaction going. Tell me in the comments below. What is that thing for? What do they do with that? All right, so I just stopped. Actually, I've been here for quite some time waiting for something magical. What I liked was that little bird house, and there's some moss growing on it, and it has some really good texture on it. Threw on my long lens, well, at least the long lens I'm carrying with me, my 70 to 200, all the way out at 200. I quietly sat here really as long as I'm willing to right now, waiting for a bird to, any kind of bird, land on it and go into it, go out of it. Nothing really happened, so I still liked it for what it is, the texture and kind of what it looked like. And I like that the sun is out enough to kind of hit on it a little bit and bring out some of those highlights. So anyway, here's that photo. So this pond back here behind me, I've been on the pond loop trail here, and I'm just getting ready to wrap up, but I just stopped and I just took a quick handheld shot of this ravine here behind me. I really liked the walkway that kind of came down there. The light was a little bit better a second ago. There was some nice highlights on sort of these little jut outs, and especially on the little walkway itself. The way the clouds have moved, that light now has moved further out there. But anyway, I stopped for yet another photo. So not bad for what was going to be more about hiking, not photography. I've shot a couple things. Nothing that I would call a banger necessarily, but I think I'm doing a better job of at least keeping my eyes open and in the game. So, all right, well, I am about 4.5 miles in, which I think I'm going to end up with considerably more than the 6 that I thought I was going to start the day out with, because this whole loop, this and the overlook that I was on where I talked about that dam, was not part of the original 6 miles that I thought I was on. So this is sort of the turnaround point, and let's see. Okay, my hike is actually over. I'm in overtime now. I came out of the woods and I actually walked right on past the truck. And the reason I did that is I knew I wanted to come back over to all of these pines. You can kind of see behind me, I'm in an area. I'm going to do the spin. Hopefully you don't get all motion sickness on me. But all of these pines are just a really cool area that I knew I wanted to play around with. So the first image that I just took is of this sort of V pine behind me. It's 2 or 1 that split off really, really young when it was new. And I might get a little Photoshop crazy with this. I took a couple of photos, one with just a shallow depth of field with and a vertical, and because I like the symmetry or close to symmetry with some trees that are in the background. But the other thing I'm really thinking about trying here is I took a handheld shot, kind of somewhat sharp. I don't remember exactly my settings. I'll put everything up there, but I'm thinking about putting in the background, drop it into Photoshop, and then I took another image where I introduced some intentional camera movement. So just a little movement up and down. Now, here's what I'm thinking. I don't know whether I'm going to make a band below and a band above, where I use like a really big brush and a layer mask when I bring those in, or what I'm really thinking I might do is leave all of the background with motion blur, but bring this too, because I really like, I'm on the south side, so I'm looking back at the north, and I really love all of the greens and moss, which means I am absolutely not doing a black and white challenge with this trip, but I don't know. I'm going to experiment with that in post, and here they are. All right, well, that is it. It's a wrap. I'm at 8.7 miles. My feet are tired. I'm a little bit hungry. I didn't really find another composition that I was in love with in here, at least right now. There was it was frustrating because it was like symmetry gone wild. I kept wanting to find trees in these little spots and kind of play around with some symmetry, but then it was just not right. Like, for example, sorry for the quick spin again. There's a bench back there behind me. See that? Okay, so, but it's not right between the two rows of pines. So there was just a bunch of that not quite right. Anyway, this has been an amazing hike. If you're still following along, thank you. You're already exceptionally loyal. Please give me a like, subscribe, do all those things that everybody asks you to do. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.